Good evening, and welcome to the latest edition of Randall Reads. Tonight I'd like to talk about Charles Bukowski's autobiographical novel, Ham on Rye. Bukowski is best known as a prolific poet, much imitated and much loved. And if you've read his poetry and you want to know how and why Bukowski became Bukowski, what shaped his quite cynical and brutal worldview, then you'll find the answer in these pages. I'd advise people to read this book more than perhaps the much more popular titles like Post Office, Factotum and Women, because I just think it's a much more substantial work which is stayed the test of time much better than those three titles. In this book he depicts his early life, painful childhood, and in particular his very fractious relationship with his father, who was a brute and a bully of a man who would beat his wife and beat his son Charles as well. When the Great Depression dropped in America, just to give you an idea of the kind of character Bukowski's father was, he was too ashamed to admit that he'd lost his job, like so many millions of Americans, that he would get up and drive to work exactly the same time he did before he lost his job, and come home at the same time as well, to make it appear that he hadn't had the misfortune of being unemployed. In his earlier life, Bukowski was ravaged by acne and boils, and he had to go to the hospital to have them drained, and he didn't receive a particularly good bedside manner or any sympathy from the nurses on duty, as they sort of mocked and teased him. In the same way, his father, when he confessed that he loved reading and wanted to be a writer, he read some of his stories and just laughed in his face. So you can sort of see how he built up this sort of barrier and hatred for other people, and how he became such a sort of legendary drunk, and how he preferred to sit alone with a drink and listening to sort of symphony music on his own. So this is my recommendation for this week. It's called Ham and Rye by Charles Bukowski. It is quite a harrowing read, but it's a very interesting sort of story if you're interested in getting to know more about Charles Bukowski, the man and the poet and the writer. So that's my recommendation for this week. Thank you for listening. Good evening.